And Coach Hutch just heard you because Hutch is on the line right now.
That's right. Just like Coach Bakic's appearances, Hutch's appearances as well are brought to you by Advantage Sports. Make sure you come in this weekend for the Advantage Sports annual Diamond Sale. Save up to 50% on everything baseball and softball, including bats, gloves, protective gear, and apparel. Thursday, today, through Sunday at Advantage Sports, 2019 West Stadium Boulevard in Ann Arbor. And always, you can catch him online at catchtheadvantage.com.
You know, he sounded an awful lot like Carol Hutchins in that final comment. The only thing he didn't say was one pitch focus. And I'm sure I'm going to hear that from Hutch now. Hutch, good morning.
Good morning, and yes, good luck to Eric and his crew. Great win yesterday.
Well, Coach, he's absolutely right to follow in the success that your team is experiencing this year. You won the regional last week, and I want to dive right in because it's always great to hear in retrospect what you see because we as fans we see it a certain way, but what you see is always the most informative. So that first game against Oakland, where you run rule them, you win 9-1, but you said you felt like your team was a little tight. What did you see to make you feel that way?
Well, maybe it's the first night, but the first night was just, the air of excitement on the field. And obviously the season all of a sudden is obviously on the line. You're guaranteed 2 games the rest of your career for the seniors. And, just a little bit of not quite ourselves with our same old swag. But, we broke through it, and we were fine.
Yeah, no doubt. So you go on and you win that game 9-1. It was, it was, again, it was that shaking off the maybe any early sort of tournament jitters, and you went back in game 2 against Cal, and it was same old Michigan again. I mean, just absolutely bashing the softball. And the thing that kind of struck me, Coach, is you look down your lineup, and often we're talking about your the upper part of your lineup really getting it done, but man, a catalyst for you really seemed to be Lindsay Montemurano.
She had a great weekend for us, especially game 1 and game 2. She was just on fire and sparking us from the 6th spot. And then, of course, Aiden Falk in the 7-hole had a fantastic weekend as well. And, both those kids have just every week come in and worked extra to get better and to help contribute. So it was necessary. You never know who you're going to need to step it up, but we certainly know that as the season has progressed, people become more and more wary of the Sierra sisters and are less likely to let them have the opportunity to beat them. So we're going to rely on the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about her, but she does seem to be from a mentality standpoint. And obviously a performance standpoint as well, but seems to be a spark plug for your team. Is that kind of a role that you saw for her, or is that something that she's growing into?
Well, I think she has created that for herself. I think Monty has worked hard. She was kind of in and out of the lineup early in the season, and she just wasn't on. She wasn't hitting well. She didn't look comfortable, and she worked her way through it. And when you work through adversity, it makes you tougher.
Mm-hmm. We're talking to Michigan softball coach Carol Hutchins here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. So you go in that game and you get toward the end, and they put in a pitcher that hadn't been in there since March, and I found myself feeling sorry for an opponent. You never want to do that, but you get into that final game, Coach, and you always say one pitch focus. I hear you say that all the time. You get in that contest, and you have Haley on the mound, and you early in that contest, to get back to what you see, early in that contest you decided to make a switch. Now you have a senior pitcher on the mound. She's been there before. There's that line of thinking that says, hey, she'll work through it, and then there's that other side that says, hey, this is win or go home time. How do you know, or what did you see? What did you know at that point that said, hey, it's time to make a switch?
Well, from the first inning, she had her first 2 batters, she looked good, and then with 2 outs, gives up a a hit and gives up another hit, and then we get out of the inning. And in inning 2, again, her pitches, we could tell they weren't really moving, and her catchers, Lauren Sweet, told us, she goes, they're right over the plate, and they were getting on her. She didn't have that attack mode that I had seen the week before against Nebraska. She wasn't setting them up and beating them, and she just really wasn't attacking them. And yeah, that is a game. We were up in the game, but we'd had a big inning in the first inning, and this isn't a game you want to let a team like Pitt get in on, because you just that's not how you're going to coach. You're going to want to put your step on them, put the pedal to the metal, as they say. And she wasn't throwing her best. We still had Betsa, and that the game plan was start with Haley and go with her as long as she's effective, and then we'll finish them with Betsa, who, of course, what you like about Betsa is she strikes people out, so they don't get the ball in play. And, it was earlier than I liked, but I didn't like Haley, and I want Haley to have a little chip on her shoulder going into this weekend, so hopefully that will be the outcome.
Gotcha. That's the psychology of coaching. That's, again, one of the things that we don't see. Was it so it sounds like you're saying it was more a mental thing than it was a mechanical thing for Haley in that game?
Well, mental is mechanical. Mm-hmm. Mental affects your mechanical, and when you're in one pitch focus, when you're able to just focus on the pitch, not the surrounding circumstances, not the meaning of the game, not the crowd, whatever thoughts occur, because when other things get in your head, and we can tell as coaches when kids have a lot in their head versus when they're clear-minded. And, I can't see inside anybody's head, but I can tell you that it gets tough to stay clear-minded, and that's where you have to be.
Well, you certainly you got that from Betsa, and it was interesting to hear her after the game say, "Hey, I was beat. There's no question that I didn't have it all left in the tank." But that says something. That's a sign of growth, I would suspect, for you as a coach, when the player can have some fatigue and can fight through it and still be really effective like she was.
Well, as I can tell you, there are 16 teams left in this tournament. There's not one pitcher that isn't tired. Mm-hmm. There's not one ace out there that hasn't thrown a number of innings, and you start pitching on adrenaline. And you got to will yourself through that time, because that's what we condition all year for. That's what we train all year for. And you can pitch. You don't have to have your best stuff. You just have to have your best mindset.
It's a soundbite, Ira. We're talking to Michigan softball coach Carol. You got a lot of them, Coach. Let's talk to Michigan softball coach Carol Hutchins here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. So, tournament time, you got to be prepared for anything, I suppose. Not only good opponents, but odd start times. How do they determine, when you start? How does Michigan get the draw of a 9 o'clock start?
Well, ESPN was here yesterday chatting with us, and basically they told me it was a sign of great respect, because this is the prime time spot of the weekend. Thursday night at 9, they feel it has the best opportunity to be viewed of the entire weekend, and they gave it to Michigan. So, obviously, from a standpoint of waiting all day to play, I'm not too thrilled about it, but we're excited to be on TV, and honestly, we're playing. We're playing in the Super Regional. We don't care when we play. We don't care where we play. We're playing.
And one thing, Coach, before we let you go, a non-sports thing, but these athletes that you recruit are actual student athletes. So Michigan yesterday received recognition for 10 sports that got the APR recognition, which means you're the elite of the elite when it comes to graduating, retaining, et cetera, with your players. So softball being one of those 10, it must be as rewarding, if not more rewarding, than anything your team can accomplish on the field.
Well, it's what we're doing, and I often talk about athletics as a vehicle to grow kids up. But kids come to Michigan to get a degree, and why on earth would you come to Michigan and not get your degree? So we are part of that. To me, it's an expectation that is. I don't even know why we would make a big deal out of it. Of course, you're going to get your degree, and every kid who comes into our program gets their degree. And 14 of our 20 student athletes are at 3-point or above. And I can tell you, in a very challenging environment. So I'm proud of my kids. It's the expectation of our program, and I think of the programs at Michigan.
I got you, Coach. Now, look, I know the focus is on you, and the focus is on you making the pitch you having the right mindset at the plate. But tell us a little bit about Georgia. Obviously, a pretty good team, number 14 in the country. What do they bring to the table?
Well, yeah, it's a very exciting matchup. Georgia is similar to us. They're very offensive. They swing it. They've got their own all-star second baseman, Alex Hugo, who has 21 home runs herself. They have the Emmanuel sisters. They're 1 and 2 hitters who, between the two of them, have somewhere in the vicinity of 60 stolen bases. And they can hit through the order. And, again, they've got a 1-2 punch in their pitching staff, Chelsea Wilkinson and Brittany Gray. It's a great matchup. They're a great team. They always play aggressive. They'll come here with a chip on their shoulder, and it's a dogfight, so to speak.
All right. Well, Coach, good luck tonight. Good luck tomorrow. We're looking forward to talking to you next week about what we believe will be another trip to the World Series. So, Coach, good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot. That was Michigan softball coach Carol Hutchins. And there was no need to talk about the last thing because, she's going to say, hey, we're focused on the here and now. But it's you got maybe the National Softball Player of the Year in Sierra Romero, she's one of the 3 finalists for it.
Correct. One of 3 finalists for the USA Softball Collegiate Athlete of the Year. Coach Hutchins' visits are always brought to you by Advantage Sports. Coming this weekend for the Advantage Sports annual Diamond Sale. Save up to 50% on everything baseball and softball, including bats, gloves, protective gear, and apparel. Thursday, today through Sunday at Advantage Sports, 2019 West Stadium Boulevard in Ann Arbor, and catch them online at catchtheadvantage.com.